What's up guys, this is Dark Magician here and welcome to another KOF video. So guys, I really want to apologize, I'm so sorry for the delay of this video. I always try my best to do the character introduction before the character appears in the game, but the past 10 days were really crazy for me. I really couldn't find enough time to make the video. So yeah, as you know guys, the character is here, Maxima 14 is here, his limited draw started today, and it was a kind of a surprise for us because again they're still messing up the order. But anyway, so the nest theme from the KOF'14 is completed, and today's introduction will be for Maxima 14. Okay guys, so as you can see, Maxima 14 is an API 15 tank. As usual, his spotlight is the block rate, his resistance is good, his anti-crit is good. So yeah, his feature says modular defense and buff specific allies. Here is a nice feature because you will see how much you rely on him to boost a specific ally, which is the one positioned behind him, okay? So, starting with the fates first. We have the Bersol tank, we need Maxima 14, Mary and Takuma increasing attack plus 25%. K-Team, we need Maxima 14, Ice Doll Kula and Transcendence K, increasing HP by 25%. And Tenki, we need Maxima 14 and Rising Dragon Tensu increasing HP by 25%. So as usual, one easy fate and two challenging fates to unlock. But anyway, his weapon Atomic Power Furnace, and he uses Earth Shaking Badge and Kickboxing Tom. Now, moving to his fight soul, it's called the Steel Bear Soul. So he gains 115 rage initially and gain extra rage when the fighter is dead in either side. So it's a combination of a bear soul and a tiger soul. Now here is a bit something different because like he's a tank but he doesn't have a tortoise soul, so people might be worried about that. But don't worry, he does have a lot of means to regain rage, and actually gaining rage is what he excels at. So not being a tortoise soul is good for him because otherwise I think he would be OP if he was a turtle soul, and he seriously doesn't need it. So as we're gonna start with the skills, first his passive Mechanical Body. Increase own resistance rate and increase own anti-crit, block, and the chance of casting small skills by 30%. If own resistance rate is higher than his own damage, then he increases his own damage by 50% of the difference between the two. So this is one key point to train Maxima. You should maximize his resistance so that at the same time his damage will be improved. The more you make a gap between his resistance and his damage, the more damage he gains. So that's actually pretty good for him. So this way you can also increase his damage by doing this way. So such that 20% of his own damage will be increased at least. So again, I really stress on the point that you should increase his resistance and always work only on his resistance and his defense. And here, increase own ultimate resistance and small skill resistance by 20 to 60%. Of course, here it depends. The lower own HP is, the greater the improvement. So the lowest percentage of his HP, he will be gaining 60% ultimate resistance and small skill resistance. The single damage received will not exceed 60% to 40% of the HP upper limit. Of course, the more enemies when Maxima 14 is deployed, the lower the ratio will be. So in Arena, if you start with 6 opponents, the upper cap, let's say, or the maximum HP that he the maximum damage that he can receive is worth 40% of his HP. Okay, and when Maxima 14's HP percentage is lower than 60%, this ratio will be decreased by 10%, so it will be 30% or something like that. So again, his maximum damage that he can receive will be capped, which is good. When own HP percentage is lower than 40%, emergency repair effect will be activated. So, what is emergency repair? He will restore 25% of his own HP immediately, and this healing won't be affected by the changes of healing amount, which is pretty good. So no matter whether the opponents reduced his healing rate or anything, it's a fixed 25% healing of his HP, which is good. And this effect can be activated 3 times at most, so he can heal himself back up to 3 times. The more enemies when Maxima 14 is deployed, the more times the effect can be activated. So again, in Arena pretty much he will do this 3 times. I think in 1 versus 1, if I'm not mistaken, he can do it once, because I mean you will be facing one opponent, so it wouldn't make sense to do it 3 times. But anyway, if own HP percentage is lower than 60%, also dispel own debuff and petrification status immediately and gain 200 rage. So we're gonna see this a lot. He will be gaining a lot of rage with time. So this is one way to gain rage. When being hit and his own rage is decreased, instead of his rage being decreased, he will increase his rage by 150 immediately. So we will start seeing this trend a lot. And so here at level 1, he increases his resistance rate by 30%, which is a very good starting point. Now, his minor skill, Maxima Press. Attack a single enemy, restore 5 to 25% of max HP. The lower the current HP percentage, the more HP will be restored, and 25% is a pretty good amount in this regard. Gain a layer of sepsis resistance. So, Maxima is the first counter to Mizuchi. He is the first one that can counter the sepsis effect of Mizuchi, such that he won't be affected with this, you know, the sepsis, which is the effect conferred by Mizuchi, in which the maximum HP of the fighter is reduced. So Maxima can be immune to that. So he will be immune to the next sepsis effect for 2 rounds. Okay? And this effect will cover the effect with the same name. So, you know, later on we will be seeing this sepsis effect in more fighters later on, so he can be immune to the whole term in general. When the ally behind Maxima 14 is being attacked, Maxima 14 will share 30% of the damage he or she takes. So he will be sharing damage, same thing as Dualon as we've seen before. Reflecting damage, however, sharing damage or the damage of the shield won't be shared. So it's only like the direct damage that he receives, the ally behind Maxima. And decrease the sharing damage taken by 70%. Okay, I'm gonna touch on the gates later on after that. Okay, and if Maxima 14's HP percentage is lower than 35%, he won't share damage the ally takes, again because this will make him vulnerable, so he won't be able to share any damage. If there is no ally behind Maxima 14, 200 rage will be restored behind Maxima, will be restored to Maxima 14. So I think I can mention the gates right now. I forgot the lake, but so let's just start with the lake first. In the lake element, he will be just add to, of course, an increase in numbers and everything, but he will become also immune to burn, poison and bleed damage, which we know it's a very annoying thing. So as a tank, it's very appropriate that he will be immune to them. Of course, there will be a lot of increases in numbers, but I'm not gonna mention them here. With the thunder element or the minor skill, he will be able to restore HP to allies, you know, a small amount of HP, and the shared damage received, here I really need to touch on that. Instead of 70%, it will be reduced by 90%, and this is really stupid. It's really annoying because imagine, like, pretty much you won't be receiving any damage. Imagine reducing 90% of the damage that or let's say the value of that, the damage that the ally in the back row will receive. So he can be a tough wall that can protect the ally behind him. So here I'm gonna touch by the end of this video on the importance of choosing which ally you should place behind him. Okay, that's just the major points of the thunder element. Now moving to his ultimate, the M24 atomic laser. Attack a single enemy, increase own attack and defense by 20%, and increase own rage restoration speed, absorb 30% of the target's current rage, and this effect will not cause a critical hit, but at the same time will not be blocked. So it's just a regular damaging attack, and deal the damage that is equal to 9% to 15% of the max HP to the target. So here again, something typical for a tank, which is really good at the same time, because for tanks basically we don't rely much on their damage, especially for Maxima. I did mention you should work on his resistance, neglect his damage, it's fine, because he will be doing good damage in terms of percentage, so that's pretty much all what you need. So the more the rage has been absorbed, the higher the damage will be, such that let's say the opponent has maximum rage, then he will make damage worth of 15% his maximum HP. So it goes just like that. And add a frailty status to the target for 1 round. What is the frailty status? Here, when the ally behind Maxima 14 uses ultimate or small skills and deal damage to the target, 20% extra damage will be dealt to the target with the frailty status. So it's like it will be more of a corporation between Maxima and the ally behind him. Maxima will give this the opponent this frailty status, such that the ally behind Maxima will be doing more damage to this ally. It's really teamwork when it comes to that. Maxima is good in arena because of that. So if there is no ally, however, behind Maxima 14, then this skill will deal 30% extra damage to the target. I don't think it's really important, because again, we won't be really relying on Maxima's damage that much. Of course, all damage involved in this skill ignores the immunity to debuff, however. Now here, of course, after weapon awakens, the effect will be improved in all round way, and the skill will restore a large amount of rage to the ally behind Maxima 14. So here the teamwork, the real teamwork, will start with the weapon. So here the weapon, to be more specific, so he will restore current rage value to the ally behind him. So if Maxima has full rage, then he will restore full rage to the ally behind him. If Maxima, I don't know, have 500 rage, he will restore 500 rage to the ally behind him. Okay, and the excess rage will go to himself. So let's say, I don't know, if the ally behind him needed, like, I don't know, 100 or 200 of rage to have full rage, then Maxima will restore this amount of rage to him, and the excess rage that he already have will be restored again to him. So that's why, I don't know if you did notice from the Chinese server, when you see Maxima in arena, he will be doing chain ultimates. Like, he makes an ultimate, the ally behind him will make an ultimate, and then you see Maxima doing an ultimate again. It's kind of stupid, but it just goes this way. He is good in doing chain ultimates because of that, because he will be restoring rage to himself and helping the ally in the back row behind him, I mean, to restore rage for himself as well. Okay, and next time the ally kills somebody, I mean, I'm talking about the ally behind him, he will restore full rage to Maxima. So if the ally behind him will kill an enemy, Maxima will restore full rage, and the number of emergency repairs, you know, when he heals himself, will be increased by 1, and this will be activated once per round. So you see the importance of the weapon, guys. That's one reason Maxima is really good when it comes to that. Of course, again, I'm gonna be more specific by the end of the video, but his weapon is a must. You should get his weapon. And then finally, just to talk about the water element, or the smacks. Now, the difference is that he will be attacking the enemy with the highest rage, and here, you know, the difference will be in that, like, he will be restoring more rage to the ally in the back row, such that you will be kind of guaranteeing that Maxima will make an ultimate, the ally in the back row will make an ultimate, and Maxima will make an ultimate again. He will be good in doing chain ultimates. So that's one reason why his smacks is also something to consider. Okay, I honestly don't know how specific it functions in arena, but from what I've read from the water element, he will be doing a lot of increases in rage in terms of numbers. So his smacks is definitely something to consider as well, if you want to keep him for a long time. So that was pretty much his skills. Now, just mentioning his gate partners, of course you would expect it. It should be Kula, K, and Maxima. This is the info from the Taiwan server again, but pretty much they should be the same also in our server. So let's just wait and see, but most likely it should be them. Now, the question remains, is Maxima a good fighter or not? We did notice something, guys, which is that he doesn't revive, or he doesn't disappear, he doesn't, you know, as something like, say, trendy you see from other fighters. Maxima doesn't do that. I would say somehow it's a drawback for him, but at the same time it's safe. He is safe because he does have means of regaining HP again. Like we've seen 3 times, he can gain more layers of emergency repair, so he can heal himself more. He has this his cap of damage that he can receive, which is pretty nice. So I would still say no. Actually, Maxima is a good tank to consider. But here I should stress on how you should train Maxima and how you should use Maxima. So first, if you want to get Maxima, you should make him your main tank. Okay, you can't just get him, neglect him, not train him well enough, because he won't really serve that much if he wasn't trained enough. If you make him as your main tank, then there you go. It will be really good and he will be performing great. That's one key. Again, increase his resistance as much as you can, because you won't really rely on the damage. And even by doing so, he will be increasing his own damage by himself. So again, train his resistance, give him the defense esoterics, give him defensive runes, boost his defense as much as you can, the equipment, blah blah blah, you know everything. You know how to train a fighter. So boost his resistance, this will come in handy. And the final part that I would like to touch on, who should you place behind him? Of course, I think you can figure it out. The best options, let's say, to put behind him would be somebody that you want to protect, because you've seen how Maxima can behave as a wall that can protect the ally behind him. So I would recommend putting a DPS, and more specifically, I mean, the best DPSs that we have right now are K and Mature, for example. Teriko, of course, to an extent, if you're still using Teriko, she can be an option to be placed behind him. But I do recommend, I don't know, I feel like K would be really good behind him because you want to protect K as much as you can. And the more importantly, more than the protection thing, you want them to make more ultimates. So Maxima will help them make an ultimate again and again. So I don't know, for some reason I just think of it as a Storm fight soul by himself. So because he will be restoring enough rage for them to make an ultimate again. So definitely consider putting a DPS behind Maxima. Again, those three best options would be K, Mature, and Terrico. Another possible option I would say is Mizuchi, especially after this max, because Mizuchi is kind of squishy, so he needs some a wall to protect him. And plus Mizuchi himself can restore rage for the back row fighters if he's in the back row. So I don't know, like Maxima can restore rage for Mizuchi and Mizuchi can restore rage for the back row. It can be a good I don't know, strategy to use if you can do it like that. So the DPSs or Mizuchi in my opinion would be the best options. Aside from that, I don't know, I don't think that it would be good enough to put any other fighter behind her. Just consider those ones and you will be fine. So Maxima is definitely one fighter worth considering if you are willing to work on him good. If not, then just skip him because I don't think it would make sense to get him and not keep him or train him enough. Okay? Now, yeah, just moving to the runes, you can figure it out. The typical runes for a tank, I would say Earth's Heart, Protector, or Heart of Thorns, you know, because I did mention you have to increase his resistance. Those three would be possible options for him, okay? And finally, his fight soul, which fight soul can work best on him. Here I would have definitely two options, which is Unyielding, which is, again, it's the best one for tanks. And I would like to touch on Devil, honestly. I think I was wrong about this fight soul. I didn't know how good it can be, because I've been seeing it a lot in Arena and it's pretty annoying, especially as you level it up. Because for Maxima in specific, you don't rely on his damage. So the Devil works as follows. It just decreases the damage of the fighter and increases the defense, and it does this curse, let's say, on two opponents. So for Maxima that would be great because you don't rely on his damage anyway. So that's why I would definitely recommend Devil as well, to use it on Maxima or any other tank that you don't rely on their damage. So again, Unyielding or the Devil would be perfect candidates to use on Maxima. Okay guys, so I think that was it regarding Maxima's character introduction. Let me know what you think about in the comments below. And again, I really have to apologize for the delay. I really will try my best to make the character introductions before the fighter appears. However, I hope it was good enough. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in the next video guys, okay? Peace out.